to Fresh Take.
You are listening to the Fresh Take Network.
What it is, welcome to Fresh Take. How is everybody doing? Welcome to the ISO. It is fantastic to bring everybody in here for a recap around Canada West, around the ACAC, and all basketball. And I'm sorry that I haven't been doing kind of what I promised, which was doing a weekly basis of recapping games that I saw and whatnot. But personal stuff happened. I'm not going to get into it, but it's been busy too. A lot of games to call and all that fun stuff. But looking forward to push through. We got an exciting run of stuff coming up here. We got a few weeks left here for the first half for the U Sport in Canada West and the ACAC and CAA side of the year before we get to the second half. And before you know it, it's going to be the Final Eight here in Calgary and a bunch of other exciting stuff going on right now. So I'm really excited just to kind of recap what I've seen so far. So just to know, like, some of these teams I haven't got a chance to see. So if your team is at the top of a division right now, I'm sorry if I haven't got a chance to see it. I've been busy calling games for Ambrose and for the Dinos for the last few weeks. I'm excited to finally get into SAIT this week, a big game between SAIT and Nate, specifically on the men's side. That will be a really big game. It's kind of crazy. It's the longest I think I've ever gone waiting to call a SAIT Trojans game, being the first broadcast gig I ever had with Cal Bukowskis was at SAIT. And now the fact I only call, I believe right now is scheduled. I'm only scheduled to call 4 SAIT games currently right now. And that's unfortunately, just to kind of give an insight into my broadcast schedule, just sometimes just how things go, just with how busy my schedule can be with Dinos taking priority. Ambrose also falls into stuff in there, but Dinos will always take the priority of things, and it's been a busy Dino season. And let's talk about the University of Calgary Dinos really quickly here. It's been a fun 4 games. It's crazy that 4 games have already gone. Pack the Jack was a lot of fun, a lot of exciting energy for Pack the Jack whenever we have that atmosphere. It's really been just an exciting atmosphere at the Jack Simpson. The last 4 games, we had some speed skating championship that was really, really cool there. And we had the Olympic torch set, so that was really excellent to kind of walk in. I think, I've worked for the university now for 5 years, and I don't think I've ever seen the torch lit. And talking to my broadcast colleague, Jack Pangali, he said, I think he's been with the Dinos, I think almost a decade now, and he said he's only seen it, I think this was the twice he's seen it now. So pretty cool that you get that experience, that you get to walk in and see that Olympic flame burning. The women for the University of Calgary Dinos, this is a really good women's team. They lose a really good player in Maya Proctor, who seems like she's killing it on the London Lions right now. So shouts to Maya. There's never really a doubt that she would really be taking it to the next level. But this team is just kind of going in all cylinders right now. I think someone like Christy Giraldo has really stepped up her game. Just the passing ability, from what I've been able to see from her, she has became one of the best playmakers in Canada West. The 4 games I've got to see with her, her playmaking ability is fantastic. And her and Amélie in the backcourt, they are one of the best backcourts. I did have, I don't want to say concerns, but I was curious with Miriam Cohn transferring to TMU, what the backcourt would look like. And Giraldo and Collin have been fantastic. Cohen's a terrific player and looks like she's doing fantastic with TMU right now, but Giraldo has stepped into that starting spot and has excelled. She's done absolutely fantastic. I would say a lot of these players on this Dinos women's team have really impressed me. Oss, I think, had the block party. She's been terrific. I think her and Amélie, who we'll talk about in a second, definitely deserve to be in consideration for Canada West Defensive Player of the Year. It's early, but those are 2 defensive standouts that we've seen. But Courtney Oss is just on another level, just a full-out block party the other night. It's really hard to go against her. I think the one dividing factor that we saw in both the women's games and the men's games that I've seen the last few weeks is defense really winning games right now. We saw that from the Winnipeg's men's team, which we'll talk about, but the defensive side is really winning a lot of these games. And look no further for a defensive standout than Amélie Collin, setting the record for steals in the University of Calgary Dinos history. We thought we had it the first day, and our statisticians had to make a correction, made the right call after we got a chance to check the replay. But going into the Saturday, she got it. The bench, electrifying. One of the coolest broadcast moments I got to see her breaking that record. And what can I say about Amélie Collin? I've been in broadcasting basketball for almost 15 years. I've been part of the game one way or another for up to 30 plus years now. And she's one of the best players, not just defensively, but overall game that I've got an opportunity to see. And she deserves all the flowers that she has. She is just, she's really tough. When you bring that ball up, you've got to watch out because, it's almost disappointing when Amélie only has a steal or 2 steals in a game. You expect her to have 3 to 4 to 5 steals in a game. And, now she's on pace to try to get the conference record, and she's on pace to do it. There's an excellent chance she'll be able to do it, but yeah, in the multiple years that I've had for broadcasting, Amélie stands up top of one of the best players, not just defensively, that I ever got to see. And she had a great game too, dropping multiple threes, playmaking ability. Like I said, her and Geraldo in that backcourt have just been absolute standouts right now. Really fun too to see Polly Story really grow her game. Right now, I think she's really growing. You're so used to see Polly be able to step out and hit those threes, but now she's been able to get an inside-outside game. She always had that, but I think Geraldo and Amelie's been working really well with her. Some pick and pops that they've been able to really excel with quite well. And obviously last year Story came back from that injury, and I don't know for sure, but you could tell maybe she was getting a little bit slower, just kind of getting back into the flow of things as athletes do. But this year, she's really excelling. She's had 2 really big third quarters in these past 2 games for the Dinos, and she's been a big reason why this Dinos team is where they are. And I mean, you look at the Prairie Division right now, Panda's 8-0, Calgary's 8-0, Regina's 8-0, Saskatchewan's 8-0, and then everybody else is kind of in the middle there. So it's pretty wild that we have all these Alberta and Saskatchewan teams right now are all in a flow of things. And, this Calgary team, this is one of the best teams I got the chance to see too, as far as women. Last year, the SAIT Trojans women's team I saw was a very special group with Anir Wall and Brooke Baker. And, I still think bias, but I thought Ava Curl or Kyler Varga, maybe one of them. I really thought Ava Curl should have won something for the defensive playmaking that Ava made, and Kyler deserved to be up there as well. I thought they really stood out, and obviously Brooke and Anir and Sparks and everybody on this team, and having nice role players like Joy Victor on the team, and I'm probably missing someone from that state women's team, were really, really good. This Dinos team, from what I've seen so far, and Sarah's done such a good job coming in and coaching them, like just your first season in to the Canada West, and you're going against juggernauts with some really good coaches in there, like Scott Edwards and Lisa Tomaitis, who might be the greatest women's coach in the history of college sports. Just the greatest coach, period. She's one of the tops, and Sarah's came in and done a really good job with this program, taking over for Johnny Verone last year, and they're 8-0 right now. Shout out to Johnny Verone, too, doing great stuff at the edge right now with that team. I have got like I talked about in the last ISO we did, got a chance to see some of what they're doing, and just kind of following via social media the last little bit. It seems like the edge is doing good, so shouts to everyone, Eddie Richardson and everyone there, and Johnny seems like he's doing a really good job right now at the edge with everything there. But this Dinos women's team they're locked in, and I haven't got to do the basic interviews stuff that I like to do. Like I said, everything's been really busy. I'm hoping to try to do some side interviews with the coaches and with the players just before the winter break here. So tap in. Hopefully we can get an opportunity to talk to them and kind of get some of their feelings as we head into the winter break. But right now, in the 4 games I've seen, this is the team that has a chance to win a Canada West championship, to win a U Sport championship. It's a team that could go to the Final 8. I feel like there's a lot of good. They have a good sense of depth on this team. But mainly the defensive presence on this team is really good. Now, like I said, I haven't got to watch as much tape on Regina and on the Pandas and on Sask and other teams that I want to. And, shouts to Trinity Western right now. They're 8-2 in the Pacific, and UBC and UBCO and all these other teams right now are doing what they're doing. And Winnipeg, 2-5 right now on the women's side, but that's a good Winnipeg team. I saw some real promise on that Winnipeg team for the women. So I say, you hold on, they could do some stuff going forward here. It's early on in the season, but I saw some stuff from that team that I did like. So for this Calgary team, it's only going up from here. But again, shouts to Amélie Collin on breaking the record, and it's been really fun on the women's side so far. This is a really good women's team. And I'm looking forward to getting back. We come back second week of January, and we have Regina. So that we'll see where everybody stands at that point. Calgary goes on the road this week, and they take on Manitoba, who's 1-6. So that'll be it before the winter break for them. You would expect that they would go 10-0 with that, but you never know what can happen on the road at any time. It's Canada West. Crazy things can happen. Let's talk about the Dinos men. So 3 losses in a row at home for this Calgary team. Winnipeg, I want to talk about Winnipeg really quickly here. This is a really good team defensively. They really stood out. They have some nice pieces on their team, some nice veterans on their team. I liked a lot of what I saw from this Winnipeg team. And before I kind of get into the Calgary side of things, there's a lot of good depth in this team. Scoring is not an issue for them, but the thing that I saw from this Calgary team against them is they just absolutely locked Calgary out, and the grit too. There was times when Calgary really pushed them. Calgary made comebacks. Calgary was down by 10 and forced their way back, and Winnipeg just never went away. Calgary kept on giving their best shot after the best shot. And, that's even with someone like Gordo, who I thought had, for him, probably an off weekend. And he still had an excellent weekend. But Alexander was great. Jaro was fantastic. Just the facilitation he had. And then just a real clutch score, getting 4 threes in the game on the Saturday. He was absolutely a standout. Donald Stewart, having him as the veteran they have. Mensah, this kid was absolutely dynamite. They have him listed as 6 rebounds, and it's one of those games. It's I felt like he had more, but he was really good too. Of also creating a lot of space for Jaro and Alexander, and doing a lot of the little plays that we don't talk about on the broadcast. But every once in a while, when I'm doing the broadcast and I have my colleague talk stuff, I like to see what these players are doing off ball, and we don't talk about that on the broadcast as much as I'd like to. But I thought Mensah did a lot of cool things off the ball. A lot of the times, he was instrumental to them winning both of these games. And when we were talking about player of the game, that last one, a little behind the scenes here, it was between Jaro and Mensah. And I thought Mensah he was great, man. He was one of my highlights that I got to see this week. We picked Alexander and Jaro as the individual players on both days for Winnipeg. But Mensah was, man, this kid is bright future, shot 50% from the field. I just thought he was awesome. So I just want to give him his flowers, because he was really good. Ogba was really good for them as well. So I think right now for this Winnipeg team, there's a lot of positives on this team. This is the team that we could see in the Final 8. It's a team that can win the Canada West. It's a really, really good basketball team. I feel really privileged that I got a chance to see them this week, because defensively, people that have followed me for the last little bit, I will always support defense first. Defense, I will always say, wins championships. I know it's the cliche, but I will always support a defensive team over an offensive team. If I were coaching, I would always put the defensive side first. That's why even like right now, being a Laker fan, where, the Lakers are great, we only have 4 losses, but the defensive side of the ball is really stressing me out and worrying me when you start facing the Houstons and the OKCs and the Denver and some of the top teams. It's like, yeah, you can beat the Clippers, but you're giving the Clippers still like 60-plus points in the first half. When you get to face an OKC or a Denver, what's that going to look like? Because defensively, you just don't have it. And kind of bringing it back now to the collegiate side of things, this Winnipeg side, defensively, they have it. They are locked in defensively. They have the scores that can win. Having the honor to call the Final 8 this year, at least some of the games, I really hope that Winnipeg's one of them, because this is a really fun team. And they were locked in to the very end. Calgary. Man, this Calgary team, it is there. It is there. But the one thing they have to find is just consistency right now. And I'm sure that's what Dan Van Horen is probably telling them. And you can see the guys. Now, let's make it very clear for this Dinos team. They lost 5 starters, right? Including a guy that won every single award that you could in basketball last year, Nate Petrone. You lost a guy that went to the CBL in Noah Warden. You lost another guy in Peterson that went to the CBL and now is in the NCAA. So those are 3 studs. You lost a guy that was Mr. Clutch in Dylan Lutz. You lost one of the best playmakers in Roma Sescardo. And I could go on and on and on. But those are really big pieces to lose to your team. And so I think, you have a nice mix here of veterans, of transfers, of rookies to this Dinos team, right? It's going to take time to gel. I know some people probably want to push a little bit of the panic button right now. As someone that's watched it, you can see it. It's there. Dennis Dollywall. Got the chance to see him at the Edge a year ago under the tutelage and coaching of Eddie Richardson. This guy has it. And you saw moments there for Dennis where you can clearly see it. Having conversations after the game, people can see that Dollywall has it. You know that he can be the go-to guy. A guy like Chichoke, I think he has it. Some of the veterans this past week wasn't their favorite game for Sabalaskas and for Smith. Not the greatest shooting days for them overall. But I will say, I think they ran into a Winnipeg team that defensively was really good. And I give them a lot of credit in that Winnipeg game. They fought and they fought and they fought. It was packed the Jack. The crowd wanted this comeback. You could feel that comeback. I was standing up in the broadcast booth. You could feel the electricity in the air that something special was going to happen. And it didn't. And sometimes it doesn't. But you almost you had that sensation that something was going to happen because the crowd was so electric. And, that was the great thing about that Pack the Jack crowd is I could barely hear Jack Pangali, my broadcast colleague, in my headset. I had to turn the headset up a little bit because the crowd was so loud and so excited and so into this game and so into this potential Dinos comeback. And that's what you want to see from Pack the Jack. That's the great thing about collegiate athletics, and that's the great thing with the Jack Simpson is packed and loud and exciting. You get that vibe. And we had that vibe on that Friday game. That's the exciting thing about having the Final 8 at the Jack Simpson. That's why the Final 8 is going to be at the Jack Simpson, because of that type of crowd and that kind of atmosphere that we can get in the Jack Simpson Gymnasium. And that's the kind of stuff that gets me really excited about having the privilege to be on those Final 8 broadcasts, and honored that we at the university get to have these Final 8 games because of the atmosphere that you can create at the Jack. We had it a few years ago for the Canada West Final between the Pandas and the Dinos. So I know what it's like. And talking to Jack Pangali and some of the games he's had there and getting an idea what those are like. So we had that atmosphere there on Friday. And unfortunately, Dinos couldn't come out for them. So they have the 3-game losing streak right now. But like I said, I'm not pushing the panic button right now if I'm a Dinos fan, because there's stuff here. I didn't even mention a guy like Dre Francis, who always seems to be in the right spot. And Iago, I think there's a lot of talent right there. Like I said, and Georgievic. I really like Georgievic as well. I think it's a team that's gelling right now, right? We're in the early parts of the season. Maybe going on the road here after having 3 games in a row, maybe that will re-energize this team. But there is something there. There is something there with this team. believe that this is the team. I believe they get the automatic bid to the Final Eight already because they're hosting it. So that's going to be a team that's going to be there, and I do believe that they do belong there. Now the Beckett Johnson injury that hurts, but I did think Balmanis held in there and held his own. So yes, for Dinos fans coming off being Canada West champions, a bummer to start off, right? You have 4 games at home and you lose 3 of them. But again, you lose 5 starters and you're bringing in freshmen, you're bringing in transfers, and you have some seniors on this team. It's going to take a second to gel and figure everything out. And I have no doubt with the tutelage of the most winningest coach, I believe, in the university's history, in Dan Van Horen, that they'll be able to do it. This is the guy that's won multiple Canada West championships. He's won a U Sport championship. He knows how to do this. And they ran into a team this week that had a really good defense. So, and I think Winnipeg's one of the best teams I've seen in Canada West play in a while. I think that's a really good basketball team right there. I think that's a team that's starting to figure themselves out. And this Calgary team, you could see it at times. There was moments here, it's like, oh boy. Like, even as good as this Winnipeg defense is, this Calgary team has figured it out, and they're going to be a problem. And then that Winnipeg defense, like I said, just started rallying and getting stuff together, and then they want to go away, and Jarl starts knocking down threes. I do believe, though, for this Calgary team, this will be a team that will be a problem. Come the Final Eight, come Canada West playoffs, this is the team that's going to be right there. They just have to start getting a little bit more of a gelling period together. But it's there. And we always talk about this. People that make the most out of their minutes and how they can grow. In that case, Archuleta is one that could do that. And I thought the last few games that he's got a chance, he's really done that. He played 15 minutes, almost shot 50% from the field, got rebounds, got assists, got steals, got after it. I don't know when Beckett Johnson's going to be back from injury, and I thought Balmanis did a really good job. But kind of like we saw with Beckett last year, when those opportunities come, you got to take advantage of it. And I thought Case took advantage of the minutes that he got. So we'll see how much those minutes go up on the road. That's nothing to take away from Balmanis. I thought going into Beckett's spot in the starting lineup, I thought Balmanis was perfectly suitable in that role and did fantastic in that role. Like I said, not to sound like a broken record all the time, I just thought with Calgary right now, it's definitely a gelling period right now with this squad, and they will come together. They have too many good coaches on this team with Dan Van Horen, Kyle Landry, and everybody else, and veterans on this team like Aiden Smith and Sabalaskas that have been there, that know how to do it, and transfers that are smart, like Francis and Friends and Georgievic. Like, this is the team that will figure it out as we go forward. All right, and that moves us then to the ACAC. Like I said, the SAIT Trojans right now, excited to call them this week. They are 8-0, and they're going against the Nate Ooks, who are 8-1. I have not got a chance to really see any SAIT Trojans men's basketball at all. Really excited that I get to see Gabriel this week. Marcus Masters again. Yopa from MRU. It seems like he's doing good, and excited to see what the Ooks can do. Battle of Alberta. I'll be on the call over that on the ACAC network, so I'm really excited to be a part of that and see what Matt Daly is doing fresh off of winning with Alberta this summer. So it's been some good coaching stuff right now from Matt, obviously winning the Alberta stuff and now winning here at SAIT. So excited to see that. And then for the Trojans on the women's side right now, 4-4, top of the South. South is really tight right now between everybody. Like even, Ambrose and the Broncos near the bottom of it both have a chance to still make a lot of moves. Concordia 8-1 right now, and Nate 7-2. So obviously a big game for the SAIT Trojans to take out a team that is sitting 7-2 right now with the Ooks. Again, that'll be on the ACAC. I have got a chance to see a few teams in the ACAC. I got a chance to see the Ambrose Lions for a few games early on in the season, and I've liked what I've seen from the Ambrose Lions. A tough loss to Medicine Hat. Medicine Hat's a team that I really did like, actually quite a bit. I thought Gardner was really good in the game that they played. But for Ambrose, I thought Audrey has been pretty good. She was just the athlete of the week for Ambrose. So shout out to Audrey on winning that. Grace Meyer dropped 33 points. She was on fire in that game. Boken had a little bit of an off game. She's still just, man, I just love watching Boken play. She's just such a smart player. And the way that no one fights for a rebound harder than Boken does. I swear, no one fights harder than she does. But, yeah, and I think this Ambrose team, I'll be back there for a game on the 5th. So I'm excited to be back in the gym for that game. They face Kings on that game. Tough games this week against Lakeland and Keanu for the Ambrose Lions. But excited to see what they can do. I think there's a lot of potential on both them and the men. Men right now, 3-4. It's tight in the South right now, but they're not that far out of the final playoff spot right now. Obviously, you got the defending champs in the Clippers right now, sitting at 5-2. We've talked about SAIT is undefeated right now. Mary's is right there. They've won 5 in a row after dropping their first 2. Lethbridge with Coach Hagee always hanging around. Medhat, shouts to Jordan Bigger, setting records. Always a pleasure to watch Jordan. I got a chance to see him in the Ambrose game. It was weird not seeing Cooper on the Medhat team anymore. I'm so used to having the games with Bigger and with Cooper on that side for the men. So it was really weird not to have Cooper Ward and the Bigger back and forth between the two of them. But hope everything's going good with Cooper Ward right now. And for Jordan, just an absolute delight to get to call him and see him throw down a few more nasty dunks. So that's always been really a joy for me. So I think we're going to wrap it up right there with everything. Just kind of wanted to give a recap of kind of what I've seen lately. Like I said, I'm hoping to get some interviews and stuff coming into the next few weeks. I'll see if I can maybe line some up for some players of the games or something from these state games this week. I'll be on both state games this week. They face Nate on the Friday, and then Augustana, I believe, on the Saturday. On the Saturday for the Augustana, for those that do care about these type of things, it'll be me and Jermaine J.C. Cummins on that Saturday game. So that'll be our first game back together since February. Scheduling sucks. Sometimes we don't get the broadcast games the same way that we want to anymore. He's busy with stuff. I'm busy with stuff. On Friday right now, as I'm recording this, I'm not sure who I'm going to be broadcasting with, potentially a student, potentially somebody else. Either way, it'll be a great game, a great broadcast, and I'm excited to bring it all to you. And excited to be back here on the ISO and to kind of start delivering these a few more times. I guess the big news that happened today before I get out of here is Simon Fraser is going to return to Canada West. So that is very interesting news. And they would go back into Canada West. They go back into U Sport. I don't know enough about everything that's going on with this right now, how official it is. Obviously, they went to the NCAA and we're in Division 2. So obviously there's a lot of things in this that I'm not 100% sure of right now, but could be huge. Could be absolutely huge in Canada West and in U Sport to have Simon Fraser return. I think it's almost 15 plus years since they made the move to the NCAA. So really, really interesting for them to make the jump to Canada West and to U Sport. Well, the return of it, obviously a program that has a lot of history, specifically in basketball as well. I've seen a lot of calls for them to have their football team reinstated. Again, I don't know any of these things and what has to go in it, but I'm more than happy to see Simon Fraser back and potentially call games with them, and we'll see how the process goes with everything right now. So very interesting, pretty big news that dropped, I think, middle of the day today. So excited for all that. And I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. And until next time, folks, cheers and enjoy the day, people.